Somebody one day said to me, so if I can get 20 trays of eggs a day, that means, and I sell for 10,000, I'm going to have 200,000 in my pocket. And I said to him, no, that money is not yours. That money belongs to the chicken first. You cannot spend money that you got from eggs, because that money is the money that's going to create your next egg. You cannot spend any money that you've received from the birds for a calculated length of time so that you can come back and reinvest. So if you want to do poultry, and I'm going to talk specifically about layer farmers, you will see that the money that you're going to spend is quite a large amount before you get any money back in. And this is a long-term project. It's not a get-quick-rich thing. Okay, there's a hen. That hen, according to many people, is a money-making machine. Now, these birds are bred to lay eggs. And there you see a hen standing on eggs. And one of the things that you must remember, the hen that you see there on the picture, in her lifetime, she can only lay about 240 eggs, which translates into 8 trays of eggs. So, if you bear that in mind, 8 trays of eggs is not a lot of money coming into your hand. That means that your project has to be bigger. You can't think you're going to make money with 100 hens. So I've prepared for 1,000 layers. So I'm working off the assumption that you have land. Your father has land and you didn't have to buy land for the project, so that's for free. You didn't have to go to a bank to get a loan, but you got an interest-free loan from a family member, your father, a brother or something, so that we can stay away from the economics of interest rates and all kinds of stuff. This is straightforward numbers. This is not an accounting session. This is just to give you an idea what kind of money you're going to spend when you dip your finger into this business of poultry farming. It's very expensive. Okay, deep litter system means you go and sell the eggs. But the two systems are vastly different. So let us just start with the deep litter system. As you can see, for 1,000 birds, we need 170 square meters of house. Then it's all your bati, your chain link, your poles, everything you need to house that 1,000 birds is going to roughly cost you 5.2 million. There you can see I put a question mark behind the labor, because the labor I can't decide. The other stuff I can get from hardware shops, but what you pay for your labor is out of my control. So let us go to the cage. Okay, now for 1,000 birds in cages, you'd only need 100 square meters. And there you'll spend roughly 3.5 million on that chicken house. But if you look down at number 17 here, 120 birds, the cages is 1.5 million per 100 and 20 chicks. So if you're going to go into cage system, you're going to have to add 13 million shillings to your budget. So you've got a cheaper house, but a very expensive housing system. On the other one, you can see that we only spent 5.2. And for the deep litter system, you've got shavings, nests, drinkers and feeders, which cost you 1.9 million at a total cost of 7.2 without any labor. Go back to the cages. Okay, now you see the total for the cage system is 17 million. There's a very big difference between the two. It's 10 million difference. So you have to start thinking like that. How much money have I got? How much money can I get? And how am I going to get 1,000 birds reared? The brooding for the two sets of birds cost exactly the same. There's no difference. They are both brooded on the floor in a deep litter situation, and the cost for the layers up to point of lay is 17.3 million. Okay, so we add the 17.3 million to your 7 million. That's around about 25 million that you must know, that you must have in hand if you want to do this thing. You can't start running around for money. The birds need food. They have to grow. The vaccines are exactly the same. There's no difference in vaccine costs. So now the big change comes when we start working with eggs. You will see from week 19 to 23, which is a 5-week time, we've got 57% average lay, and at a price of 7,500. People don't want to pay for the smaller eggs, so you're already at a disadvantage. Your second laying period is from week 24 to 40, and there we go up to 92% lay, and it stays there. Then the next laying period is 41 to 60 weeks at 87% laying, and then week 61 to 72, average 81%. And that money you will get in at the end of 54 weeks. That's a year and 2 weeks. That's 54 weeks. Please listen to that. Is 90 million shillings. Here we are at the eggs for the cage system. Just look at the percentages. 60% in the first 5 weeks, 94% average, and then 90%, and then 84%. These birds will generate 95 million shillings. Okay? So the cages are more expensive, but they've generated more income because they are laying more eggs. Okay. For the 54-week period, thank you, we've got a labor cost of 2.7 million. You have an electric bill, umeme, of 1.8 million. And that is a total of 4.5 million. Those costs are exactly the same in the two systems. So let's look at the income on the deep litter system. Now look what we are going to sell. Because you've put 25 million shillings into the project to get your first egg. Now you have to start selling what comes out of that chicken house, and I mean everything. So, your egg income in the deep litter system was 90.6 million. You're going to sell your off layers, and the price today is 15,000 a bird, and there you're going to get 13.2 million in, and your manure and your brooding your income is 560,000, and then your manure in the laying, you're going to bring in about 4.2 million. So that gives you 108.6 million shillings. That is money that you've accumulated if you haven't spent a cent on anything else. But the crunch comes at the expenses. You've got your house at 7.2, you've got your brooding at 17, you've got your vaccines at 0.5, you've got your feed at 57 million. you've got your labor and your electrics, which totals 86 million. So take the two from each other, and you'll have a profit of almost 22 million over a 54-week period, which is not a lot of money. So for a layer to actually make its own money, you have to keep it going as long as possible. So we've added 10 weeks, we've fed the birds, we've paid the labor, we've done the electrics, but your off layers, you lose money on your off layers because your off layers in the deep litter system tends to die more. There's more mortalities. So if you do that, you come out with a figure of 28 million after 84 weeks. That's more than a year and a half. So is there money in it? Really? So now you've got the income on the cage system. Your eggs is 95 million. Your off layers, you've got more off layers to sell because the system they don't die as much. Then we've got the manure, and you end up with 113 million. But if you look at the expenses, your expenses accumulate all the way down to 95 million, giving you a profit of 18.3 million. Scroll down. Scroll down, please. So now we added 10 weeks, and we've generated an extra 6.7 million. We added onto our 18, and we're on 25 million. That is over an 82-week period. Everything in the poultry industry works in weeks, not in years and not in months. It works in weeks. So, if you look at that, it doesn't look profitable at all. But this is not a project that you do in a single cycle and sell the birds off and start afresh. This is where many farmers fall into the pitfall. They spend the money that they got in, and they never made provision to recapitalize the first or the second set of layers. And if you look at money and how the money comes in from your eggs, roughly 62% of your expense is going into feed alone. So after feeding the birds, the balance of money that's left over, you have to cut a piece off that goes to the bank so you can accumulate your next 7 million shillings for building a chicken house and putting the equipment in there. And if you go to the cage system, you're going to have to add on to buy cages. You have to go and borrow more money. So, when you're doing this, we are looking at how quickly can you generate cash in the bank to duplicate the system. If you're not going to duplicate the system with the money you're getting in, it will never work. And my good friend here, Betty, she's got a word they call frugal. Frugal means stingy. You must take the money, put it deep in your pocket that nobody can get at it. Because that money is the money you're going to use for the next one. Just remember what I said in the beginning. The money you are making is not yours. The money you're making is the chickens. But if you can duplicate a second one, it will take you about 7 months. And you can get those birds laying. You're going to have a double income stream. There are 2 sets of incomes now, your first house and your second house. And then the period from 7 months gets shorter and shorter because now you're getting more money in, but you're not spending. Please, you can't spend the money. It's not school fees. It's not buying new tires for your car. It's no TVs. This is money that has to be put back in. You can't touch it. After your third set of layers, then actually you can start thinking of not buying 1,000 birds, but buying 1,500 or buying 2,000 birds. And then only is this project very, very profitable. That hen is going to cost you 17 million shillings per thousand. So it's 17,000 shillings per bird. And you're going to sell her off at minus 2,000. So you're losing money there. But she's given you money on eggs. But that hen is capable of doing 240 eggs in her lifetime. There are ways of extending it, but we're just talking about 84 weeks. Now, if you calculate your feed cost at today's feed prices, and you calculate you are selling your eggs at 9,500, and by the way, it was 9,500 before Ramadan. It's now 8,000. Because the people are not eating in the day, the chapati guys are not making chapatis, the egg sales are down, and it's like that. But after Ramadan, the prices go through the roof again. So that bird, her feed cost is round about 5,000 shillings a tray. You can make 5,000 shillings profit if you sell for 10, and it's good money. Okay, that is a picture of a brooder. That's one of our brooder houses. That's 5,000 birds that we put inside there. Now, after the birds have reared and you put them in cages like these, that is the answer. Okay, so I've told you the differences between the two systems. If you can, you go to the cages. You'll be better off in the long run. Right. This is a production graph of one of our houses. This is actual figures. This is not made up stuff. If you look at the graph, you can see our line, it moves inside that white gap there. And that is where you want to be. Now, looking at this house, I know what happened to it. There's some dips. Usually it's feed. That big, very big dip, we thought it was a disease, but we actually caught it. It was some of the nipples that didn't have water. We lost a lot of eggs there. But if you can do that with your poultry, which comes out of a cage, you're going to make a lot of money. If you look at this screen, it's just a lot of numbers. You'll see there's a column number G that says standard. Okay? It's a standard. It's an international standard that we all use for certain types of breeders, layers. The international standard for this house, the eggs are 233 eggs. Our house has got 221 eggs. So we are not far off it. If we didn't have that production drop in the middle, we would have been bang on target. So this house goes into a file and say, what did we do right and what should we not do to change this, what we've done here? So the magic formula for poultry farming, layer farming, if you want to be a farmer, you need to be with your birds 24/7, 365 days of the year. You can't even go to church because these people who work for you will carry your eggs away. They will take it the day you are not there, they'll take it. And you can't understand why you don't have money in the bank. Your farm workers are actually richer than you.